Hello class, welcome to lesson 6. This week I'll just give a brief overview of the lesson and then show you how to begin drafting our next essay, the critical thinking essay. So to overview what we have here, I just want to say that each of this week's folders directly helps you to write your critical thinking essay. Okay, we've got a grammar lesson on wordy sentences. And in the critical thinking essay, it will be important to be concise and to the point. So this directly helps you. We will also, in paragraph and essay development, be going over addressing opposing viewpoints. And you must have a paragraph or at least several sentences dedicated to an opposing viewpoint in your essay. And then in the reading assignments, we will be going over the Ophelia syndrome, which is kind of fascinating, and a great article, An Eternal Quest, Freedom of the Mind. And these are geared towards helping us look at other people's perspectives. And this is, again, very important for the critical thinking essay. And with these essays, feel free to be very introspective. The prompts this week for the discussion board really ask you to turn inward. Here for the Ophelia syndrome, it asks, propose an idea of your own. What do you think would make you a better thinker? So that's applying to yourself of what do you feel from the Ophelia syndrome paper? How did that affect you? How do you need to change in your thinking style? And all of these are similarly geared towards introspection and finding ways for us personally to be open to other viewpoints. Now, let me show you why that is so essential to the critical thinking assignment. Let's head over to the instructions and wait for it to load, as usual. So, the critical thinking assignment is about answering questions without clear answers. So, it gives you a list of questions to choose from, and it wants you to choose one to respond to in your paper. But it says the questions below do not have an easy right or wrong answer. They are open for debate and discussion. And this is important for you to remember as you discuss these prompts in the discussion board and as you write your paper, is that other people have different opinions on these. There isn't a scientifically proven correct answer for one of these. Does that make sense? We need to look at all the different perspectives and present our own opinion in light of those other perspectives. And that helps our audiences to trust us more and to see our opinions in context. So you will choose one of these prompts and respond to it. There are things like, are the commandments absolute pronouncements of right and wrong, or are they more guidelines that may need to be adjusted? Many students have referenced Nephi cutting off Laban's head as one of those, I guess I'm not sure which side it falls on here, but I've seen it argued both ways. I've seen all of these argued both ways, and there are interesting cases in all of the lights. So, let's see here. Here are some really good reminders. Read over them and use them. I particularly want to focus on the rubric, though. So the rubric asks that the first paragraph clearly state the problem the writer is addressing and the answer to that problem or your thesis. So what this means is, let me show you what it doesn't mean. Let's pull up a new paper. It means that you should not start your paper by saying, I chose to write on prompt number 3. That's not what you're supposed to say. You're also not supposed to, let's see, your third prompt, copy this in and say, and put that as your title or as the beginning of your paper. Don't do any of that. Don't do that. Instead, present the problem. What is the problem that you are trying to address here? And then how do you answer that problem? And I want to show you an example of that, of just how to start off this paper, and hopefully that will help you get your drafts going. So over here, I've written up a brief draft. So here's how it starts. I've got my MLA format, of course, and I start with what we call a hook, where you try and get your reader's attention. And I say, have you ever seen a toddler expertly swipe open a tablet? Or have you seen a child deftly navigate to a favorite cartoon on mommy's phone? Or how about a child in elementary school who already texts and Snapchats on his or her own phone? Technology is ever present and influential among our children today. Many feel that technology's influence is leading our children towards a life of laziness and entitlement. Okay, so with these sentences, I've set up the problem. I've given you context, and I encourage you to do this in your introductory paragraph. Start with, what is even the topic that we're addressing? If I had just started out, we should not take away our children's phones. How would that be for an introduction? I'd be like, wait, we're talking about phones? Wait, some people think we should take away children's phones? Wait, what? And it's confusing, and it's not an effective way to start a paper. So start with this context. Start with maybe hinting at the opposing viewpoint, is what I've done here, by saying many feel that technology's influence is leading our children towards a life of laziness and entitlement. There are some who have decided to raise their children without their own phones or tablets. So there's a little opposing viewpoint, and then I state what my thesis is, or what my opinion on this matter is. And I say, however, technology allows our children to learn quickly and easily at their own pace. Technology should be monitored, but it should not be taken away from children. Okay, so this is my thesis. And you see how it makes so much more sense when I've given context and a tiny opposing viewpoint to set it up. This is how I would like you to write your introductions. That's how you will earn this part of the rubric, where the first paragraph states the problem and addresses the answer to the problem. That's the thesis, or this final sentence here. Technology should be monitored, but it should not be taken away from children. And the rest of my essay should focus on that sentence. Okay? So as I plan out the rest of this essay, I would probably write a paragraph on how technology helps children to learn quickly because, and I would go on and give evidence for that. That's a key part of this essay. You must include evidence. And then my next paragraph, I would probably say technology is also helpful because it helps them learn at their own pace. And I would work on that. And then maybe I would have an opposing viewpoint about, however, technology should be monitored because, as others have noted, it can get out of hand. And I could talk a little bit about that. An opposing viewpoint would be stronger than that, though, so I might just call that another point. Maybe my opposing viewpoint would be, there are some who think technology is not worth it, that children should have no access to it. However, this is not the case. Technology actually, and I could go on and reference my previous points there. So I hope that gives you a rough idea of how to approach this paper. As you've noticed, I'm using a more formal tone. I don't use the word I or me in it. I don't say I think, or in my opinion, or in my experience, because in a critical thinking essay, it's just meant to be a little more professional, and that usually means removing the I and just talking about the ideas alone. And you'll find that in some of these helpful tips here. So make sure you read through those too, okay? So there you go. As you could tell, I did not address prompt 3. Sorry if that was confusing. I actually ended up addressing this prompt. And I'm actually not set on my thesis. This is something I'm still thinking about. But I chose a firm stance anyways, because that is what I need to present a strong side in this paper to help people think through both sides of the issue. So there you go. There's how to begin your critical thinking paper. I hope that made sense. If you want any help starting your paper, working on your introduction paragraph, any of that, I would be happy to help. Just let me know.